new set of lenses here with me, and we got 70 to 200, and I also got one from Sigma and from Tamron. On paper they're all technically the same speed, f2.8, same zoom range, same mount. I got all of them for Canon EF mount. Also the same, basically they all are image stabilized. Alright, there it is, the Canon. Nice set of 3 lenses. And now let's just start testing them out. Gonna use my old Canon 7D with this, but for actual video I got different adapters for Canon EF to E-mount. So I'm gonna use the A6500 for video. I'm also trying out this new battery grip, which is, I think this is meant actually for the Sony A6300, but supposed to work with the A6500. So you kind of put this dummy battery here, and then you can put 2 batteries in here, and also you have a vertical grip. You can take photos, all that stuff, and you basically put the A6500 on it. So I'm gonna see how that works. As you can see, I have the Tamron lens, so it doesn't have the case in here. I've got all the adapters, even some audio stuff, which I don't really need today. All my filters, cards, extra batteries, Canon 7D, and I still have space here for, you know, the A6500. For all my E-mount lenses, I have 3 lenses here. Like, look at how small these E-mount lenses are, and you know, mirrorless cameras versus these lenses. But yeah, everything here fits in this. It's a new bag that I got. As you can see, it still hasn't been taken out. It's like nice and clean. It's always good to test out gear like that before you actually go on some really critical, you know, intense job. All right, I think I'm ready.
A few moments later.
I'm just gonna go to like a little forest here nearby. Usually there's like deer, and I've seen even peacock the other day over there, badgers. Take my water with me here. Well, so far the bag is comfortable, but we'll see how I feel after like an hour of walking with it. With this lens on, this Canon 7D seems like a small camera, which it is not. Mounting it a tripod, you want to mount it, you know, to the actual lens. Let the camera just kind of hang off of it. Been shooting with the Canon so far, and it's pretty nice. One interesting thing I found is that it has 2 focus settings, from 1.2 meters to infinity, and then 2.5 to infinity. And at first I was thinking, what's the point of that? I mean, obviously you want to have a wider range, so you'd always go with 1.2. But it turns out that when you're in 2.5 to infinity, when you're focusing something further out, it does a better job. Basically, it just focuses faster. I'm not sure if that's going to translate when I connect it, you know, via an adapter to my Sony A6500, but at least on the Canon cameras, it looks like it focuses faster. Image stabilization is on point, works really well. It's a heavy lens though. I guess I think this one's the heaviest of the 3 that I have. Also, I realized that I have no idea where I am right now. I think more or less I came from that direction, so fingers crossed I find my way back. There's some animal. I think it might be, pretty sure it was deer, and I wanted to get some shots, but now they're gone. With the Sigma, I noticed a big difference in focus, as in it's a slow. I mean, it's still workable, but it's not as fast as the Canon. And what I mean by that is the Canon just kind of seems to snap, like when you take a photo. Sigma, it kind of it gets the focus, but it's not as fast. You can kind of feel like it's moving, like it kind of rotates the ring, whereas the Canon, it just seems like it just goes whoop, snaps right into. Also, even though this one is 1.4 meters, very similar to the other one, 1.2, the closest focal distance, I mean, I've had problems basically trying to focusing on things that are really close. It's a lot more difficult. Oh, I think I found a trail. And sometimes it feels, at least, like it still hasn't focused when you're focusing on like macro shots, basically, like real close-ups, whereas the other one, the Canon, did a much better job. So I'm gonna try the Tamron lens now. So the Tamron is good, almost I would say as good as the Canon lens in terms of the focusing. It's pretty fast. It actually has the closest focus distance, so you get pretty close, and the focus seems to work the same whether you're like really close, you know, or like the minimal focus distance, or you're further out. Build wise, I mean, they all are nicely built, feel solid and everything. They're all heavy. The Canon, I think, is the heaviest though. So I think I'm done here. I found the trail back. I'm gonna head back to the car.
1 hour later. The following day.
Another beautiful day and another good day to test out these lenses.
Nico, acomódale un poquito el pelo, Mili, aquí.
Okay, cheese.
Epilogue.
So I've shot with these lenses over the last 2 weeks, and I've done both photos and stills. Like I said, I've gone to the forest, took some photos over there. That was on the Canon 7D, and that's because that's the only Canon camera I have right now with an actual Canon EF mount. So if all of these worked great in terms of the autofocus on the Canon camera, they all worked, but the Canon one was by far the fastest. Tamron was almost identical, Sigma was a little slow. Very similar performance I got actually when I was taking both photos and stills when I adapted these lenses on my Panasonic Panasonic GH4 through like an adapter, or also when I did took some shots, like some photos and video at the ball game, and that was on the Sony A6500. Again, Sony was by far the best. Tamron very similar. Sigma was a little slow. In terms of image stabilization, they all work, I think, pretty. They all stabilize the shot. So here's one shot right now that I got on the Canon, just handheld. This is on the Canon 7D, and you can kind of see how without image stabilization it looks. When I turn on image stabilization on the Canon, makes right away a big difference. And this is in mode 1. Mode 2, it seems like it makes it worse. Now, when I tested the other two lenses, very similar effect. Tamron, again, without image stabilization, this is how it looks. And with image stabilization, you can see big improvement. This is in mode 1, and then the other two, mode 2 and 3, it seems like it makes it worse. And the Sigma also, it stabilizes it. This is without stabilization. And now this is with the image stabilization on the Sigma. But it just seems like a little like the movement's a little bit robotic, as you notice. Kind of like basically it moves, it stabilizes it, but it still moves, and it moves in this kind of weird pattern. So when it comes to image stabilization, I like I guess the Canon and Tamron the best. Overall sharpness on all of these lenses, like when I did my test chart kind of shots, which are very boring, so I won't bore you guys with those for too long, but you kind of noticed on different aperture settings, all of the lenses I think look pretty much the same, like when it comes to sharpness. There's going to be a tiny difference, but not enough to really, for me at least, to talk about. When it comes to, for example, these kind of shots that I got of my old antique camera, again, just to kind of show you the quality that you can get in the real world. You can kind of pay attention to the bokeh, the autofocus kind of highlights in the background. I think all the lenses produce a nice image. Also, like when I was using these lenses, like for example, when I went with my family to this rose garden, just taking some photos there, I was able to, again, take nice photos with all of these lenses. Really it just came down to maybe not so much the quality, but it just kind of how it feels using these lenses. They're all the same size, the same weight, really very similar. So that in itself, again, was not a big difference. Tiny differences in like the kind of settings they have, or buttons. Like you notice that Sigma only has 2 settings here for the AF on and off, and then image stabilization off or 1 or 2 setting. The Tamron and the Canon have 3 different knobs that you can adjust, but other than that, they're almost identical. The ring placement for the focus, you have different slightly placements and things like that. But again, not a big difference when you're actually using these lenses. So really, what do I think? After basically having tested all of these, what do I think of what's the best value? I think the best value overall is going to go to the Tamron, because the Tamron and the Canon, I'm not even going to talk about the Sigma, because even though the quality is good, it's just not, like I said, the autofocus and the image stabilization performance was a little underperformed. So when it comes to the Canon and the Tamron, they're both equally great lenses. And like I said, the Canon had a slight, but it's such a slight little advantage in terms of speed of autofocus that really I don't think it warrants spending that much extra money. So when you consider the price of these two lenses, Tamron by far is the best value. So if you guys are wondering, what kind of lens to get when it comes to zoom lenses, kind of on a longer focal length, what's the best deal out there and stuff like that, I would say that Tamron 70 to 200 f2.8. These are going to be great because let's say if you're shooting low light situations, like when I was getting these shots in the ballpark, you know, during the baseball game, and I wanted to get some shots of people like in the crowd when they were completely in the shadows. Again, these lenses were great because they're f2.8. I was able to zoom in, you know, get nice close-ups, image stabilize, so your shots are not shaky. Same thing for, like I said, for video and photo. And all around, just great lenses. Just this one is, you know, a lot cheaper than the Canon. So I guess that's my final thought. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know in the comment section below. Hit that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already, and also let me know in the comments what other videos like this you'd like me to do, like what other pieces of gear, maybe specific lenses, cameras, things like that you want me to compare. And this was actually sent to me by B&H, so I want to give a shout out to them, and thanks for sending out these lenses so I can try them out side by side and kind of show you guys, you know, my real opinion, what I think about it. So yeah, and once again, Tamron, if you're wondering. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.